Warning, Prospect Watch is not your average hockey podcast, and that's okay with us. Our goal is to introduce you to stars in the making from all over the world. They may not be household names yet, but we assure you they will be soon enough. Welcome to Prospect Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Prospect Watch with your host, Lance Green.
All right, guys, welcome to a very special edition of Prospect Watch. No, we don't have a guest sitting in with us tonight like usual, but I do think that we're here to talk about some pretty darn good netminders in our top 5 netminders who are available in this draft class, the 2025 draft class.
You bet, man. Welcome to a special edition of Prospect Watch featuring the top 5 goalies available in the 2025 NHL Draft. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe, man. We'd really appreciate that. First of all, let's get the business out of the way and say this. Thank you, Lance, for a great article that you posted out there. A continuation of the series. Every year so far, we've done our top 5 picks of each of the positions, forward, defense, and now we're saving the best for last, goaltending, because, of course, Lance is the old netminder turned writer. So, I mean, you know, we got to get the netminder's opinion on things here.
Yeah, they're fair.
So here we are.
Too,
yeah, man. Here we are talking all things goaltending. By the way, hop on over to SteelFlyers.com and check out Lance's article, the top 5 goalies available in the 2025 NHL Draft, along with the top 5 defensemen, along with the top 5 centers, along with and don't forget to hop on over to Prospect Watch the shows there and catch all those cool shows. And also check out all the great interviews that we've done so far this year as well, too. The latest being Aiden Park. What a great guy that was to interview as well. What do you think, Lance?
Yeah, that was a good time. Getting him on was a bit of a struggle. Just going back and forth with him being on the road and everything like that. So it was nice to actually get to sit down with him and pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know, he's a special player for sure.
Yep.
And I think he'll definitely get drafted this year.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. By the way, you might recognize some of the names that you're going to see on this list because, we talked to 2 or 3 of these goalies that are on this list here. So, be sure to check them out as well too. So, what do you say, Lance? Should we dive right into this top 5 list here?
I am ready. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Here we go. We're going to start with number 5 this time. We're going to do reverse order. Okay. So keep you on your heels, keep you on your toes. So we're going to go with number 5, and we're talking about the London Knights backstopper, Alexi Medvedev. Lance, why do you have Alexi at number 5 as part of your top 5 goaltenders available in the draft for 2025?
So sure. Alexi is a guy I think that will absolutely take off next season. He already has amazing numbers this year, but he's playing behind a pretty darn good goaltender in himself, who's 20 years old. And their tandem is just unstoppable this year. They've clinched a playoff spot again for the London Knights. I don't think they ever miss the playoffs.
Well, it's been 3 years in a row at least.
Or something. It's been ridiculous, right? But he's 6'1". He's pretty light. He's 165, 170 pounds still. He's got some meat and potatoes he needs to be eating in the off season to put on some weight. But in the OHL this season, he's played in 31 games so far, where he has a 2.60 goals against average and a 9.18 save percentage with 3 shutouts. He's won 21 of those games, and I just like this kid, man. I think he's a really special player. I think he's actually grown a bit since the beginning of the season. Some people have him as 6'3" even already. So he's growing by leaps and bounds, and just in not only his game but his actual physical stature as
Yeah,
well.
right.
So man, I really like him. I don't see many holes in his game still. Usually I can pick apart a guy and, oh man, this is great, but he does this and this he needs to work on. Alexi's solid, man. He's classically trained. You can see that, like most, Russian goaltenders are. Um, Man, he's just solid. He looks like somebody who's 20 years old playing in this league and just refined, right? But he's only 17. He's got some time left, and
Yeah.
man, I can't wait to see what he does the rest of this year, heading into the playoffs, and what he does next season. I think he will be drafted, obviously, in this draft, but somebody's going to stash him away and let him keep developing like they do most goaltenders. And I think he's going to be something really special.
Wow, that's pretty high praise coming from the old netminder himself there, for sure. From what I've seen in his game, he does have good anticipation. He's always in position.
Yes.
He's very rarely out of position. And to be playing that many games for the London Knights, that's more than just a backup role, I would think. That's more like a 1B kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? With playing that many games and having that many wins under his belt this year, I think that's going to be key for them going into the playoffs. Is him playing more, in between the pipes. I think that gives them the better chance. But I'm with you though. I really like this goaltender from what I've seen. He definitely is worthy of being in the top 5 of the Lance Green ranking there. So.
Sure. And one other thing I really like about him, unlike most Russian netminders, he doesn't have a contract, right? He's not playing over in Russia in the
No,
NHL,
he's playing for
in
London.
the KHL. He's playing
Yeah.
for London, right?
Yeah.
So he came over here. He's shown he can play the North American game. And he's not like some of those other Russian goaltenders that are going to be stuck over there for 2 or 3 seasons, and you're going to be wondering when you can actually bring them over and bring them into your rink and get your eyes on them in house. So
you can actually go and watch one of their games and see him play.
Right, imagine that,
and scout him. Oh wow, you can actually scout him. All right, okay.
Right.
All right.
Moving on.
All right. So, moving on means we're going to number 4 on the list. That's right, folks, number 4. And I'm going to do my absolute very best to try to say this name.
Peter.
Pyotr Andreyanov.
Right. Peter. It's usually pronounced PETR is AKA, also known as. I think that's their
gotcha.
version
All
of
right. So
Peter.
Andreyanov.
Yes.
Tell me why you have Peter Andreyanov as your number 4 goaltender on this list here. I mean, we had some high praise for number 5. I mean, this guy's got to be pretty,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's Russia's shining star this year. I mean, Russia is a goaltending factory.
They have been, yeah.
As of late. It was, the Finns and the Swedish before years ago, but it just seems everybody's trying to get their hands on a young Russian netminder because they are all just coming out of the woodworks and they all seem to develop. But I can see why they like him, right? Because his save percentage is over 940, and he's got a sub 2 goals against average. All right. In the NHL, he's not playing in the KHL yet. He's playing in the NHL, which is, right up there, getting ready to be,
that's no slouch league.
Part of that is no slouch league over there, right? But he's got a 1.77 goals against average and a 941 save percentage. He's got 3 shutouts on the year, and he's won 22 games already this year in the NHL. I think a lot of other people have him higher on their goaltender ranking, but just as we said, it's no fault of his own but we haven't seen him against international competition, right?
Yeah.
I judge guys a lot by what they do in these international tournaments, right? The World Juniors and everything like that, because then they all come together. They may look really great playing on their team in their league, but then when they all come together and they face all the guys that they're going to be in that big stadium waiting to get drafted in nice suits with, peers, right? Their peers, their draft hopefuls. Who shines in that sense, right? And we just haven't got to see that. And I'd rather stick my stock in a guy like who we just talked about, Alexi, and it's safer in my mind right now because you can't get scouts really over there right now. It's just starting to open up a little bit, but they're still in war times and everything like that. Again, most of these guys, Peter in general as well, is signed for a couple of seasons. So you won't even be able to really bring him over here and get your hands on him and bring him into the fold if you wanted to for a couple of seasons. So I think he's very talented. I think he's, got some stuff. He's got an amazing glove. Anything up high is good. He can eat it in his bread basket. But what I see as a downfall to his game right now is anything low. He just throws some big, juicy rebounds out there, and it scares me, Steel. These guys are starting to pick them apart a little bit over there with that. And, if you got a big North American power forward sitting there and he still hasn't cleaned that up, by the time he comes over here, they're going to tear him apart with that. So he's got some room to grow. Goalies don't usually take the ice. Nobody's a Marc-Andre Fleury and really comes in and just starts, killing the league right away anyway. He's got some time to continue to refine his game a little bit. There is some things. I think it's all things that could be cleaned up really easily with a good goaltending coach. But the things that he does do well, he does really, really well. There's that. So
okay, all right. I mean, you can't argue because the numbers don't lie, really. I mean, really don't. You really can't argue that kind of stuff. And you're right. I think if he gets that up, see, and this is what I think has been really. I'm not trying to get up on any kind of soapbox here or anything like that, but and I understand exactly why it's happening, and I think it's the right thing to do. But not having Russia playing in any of these international competitions has really changed the dynamic of international hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's face it, it really has, because like with what you said, the amount of Russian goaltenders that are now littered all over the NHL right now, you know what I mean? And the fact that they're still pumping these guys out and not being able to have any kind of access to them or view any of them or see them guys playing any of the international games. I really hope that things get taken care of and this stops. And it's not just because I want to see, Russia play games.
Sure.
Excuse me. I want to see this whole thing ended. It should have never started. But anyway. Back to hockey. So, sorry about that little tangent, folks. All right, so let's jump to number 3 on the list. Now, this player is a special player to Prospect Watch's heart because, well, we talked to this young man, and we're talking about Elijah Neuenschwander. And I got to tell you something, folks. Speaking to this young man was an amazing experience because he was so inspiring. Listening to his story, listening to how he was able to get to where he was, and then the fact that he got to play with his brother in some of the international competition this past summer and such, that he got to play with his brother too. You know what I mean? So I know how much that meant to him to play with his brother. But Lance, I see. This goaltender, man, is, as far as I'm concerned, I think he should be. I like where he is on your list. I definitely think he's worthy of number 3 as far as top 5 goalies.
And I'll tell you, and out of all of them, he's my favorite, right? He's special because he's different. He plays an old school style, stand up style, like I do, and like I did, when I was competitive, playing, and not just in the old man beer leagues, but
You know?
now. But yeah, I mean, this kid just gets it. You saw him play in the international tournaments, like we were just saying. Of course, Switzerland is not a powerhouse like Finland and Sweden and USA and Canada. There's not as many high level quality players on that team to be able to compete with Canada and USA, but he stood out. He got player of the game and multiple games, I think.
Yes.
And he just he really gets it, man. This guy has his head on straight, like Steele said. Just an excellent young man, a great person, let alone goaltender. Quick as anything. His reaction time. If he has to go down to his knees to stop the puck, he is immediately back up. And
has
looking,
the size.
He's got the size, right?
Yeah.
He's got the size to see over people and around people, and not give up that net like some other goaltenders do. I just really like him, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time because he's playing in Switzerland. He's playing in a professional league right now in Switzerland, not the NL, not the top league, but their AHL, I would say, over there, and he's doing well. It's going to take a little bit of time because he's got to come to North America and he's got to switch into that style and kind of get used to that. But I absolutely just, I'm all about this kid. He is, the real deal in my mind. I would put stock in this young man, and, he just gets it, and he wants, to be.
Yeah, he's hungry.
He's hungry. He wants to be, the guy to come over here and to prove himself. And, you can't say that about everybody. They're just talented players, and they're okay with that. They don't really try as hard as they should to be professionals. This kid gets it. He puts in the time, he puts in the work, and it just shows. He was raised right. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you speak to him.
Exactly. Aaliyah does have that work ethic. He's one of those types of guys where he knows what he has to sacrifice in order to get where he wants to go, and he's more than willing to make that sacrifice to get there. And when you have that in a player, that's the kind of players you want to draft. That's the kind of players you want to build your team around. You know what I mean? And he is that kind of a guy, I think, that you could build your team around him. You know what I mean? I really hope to see he gets drafted this year, and hope that to see some team take a flyer on him, because I definitely would do the same thing, Lance. I would definitely draft him as well. So, all right, let's move on to number 2 on the list. Number 2 on the list. Okay. I know we're doing the reverse countdown here, and this here player is from the Liga, and we're talking about Petteri Rimpinen.
Petteri, Rimpinen, yeah.
All right, talk to me about Rimpinen, why you got him number 2, and then I want to before we get to our number 1, I want to do 2 guys that I had on my list that were a little different than what you did.
Gotcha. So Petteri is perhaps the most NHL-ready goaltender in this draft class. I do believe he's playing in the Liga. He's playing in Finland's top league over there, right? He's 19 years old. He was passed over last season. I liked him last season. I think this kid was the real deal last season. I don't know why he didn't get drafted, but he came back and he's proving himself, this year, in that sense, because, man, this kid is good. He's 6 foot tall. He's a little short, and that may have been the main factor, because everybody is obsessed with having some goalie be 6'5". I don't know why. They don't need to be that big, and he's showing you this in his play, right? He's played in 39 games. He has a 2.39 goals against average and a 9.11 save percentage. He's won 16 games. He's had a ties of 13. So he's getting points even though he's not winning games all the time. He's not playing on the highest, caliber team in the Liga, right? But, in World Juniors, he played in all 7 World Junior games for Finland. I think they brought home the silver medal for them, and it was largely because of his play. He held them down against Canada, against U.S., and he really kept them in the games. And 2.34 goals against average in that tournament, and 9.33 save percentage there.
That's still pretty. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially when you're going against. I mean, at that level, you're going against pretty much either guys that were drafted or guys that are going to be drafted.
For sure. Yeah, most of those guys in this tournament, especially the U20 tournament, most of those guys have already been drafted.
Right.
And, know where they're going to be playing in a couple of years. And, I just think that Rimpinen covers the bottom of the net beautifully. I think that, his legs are just, they just go everywhere, like they're in sync to stop everything down low. And his upper body is just a black hole, if I can use that as a reference, because he just eats up everything. He plays with a hunched over sense when he's down in the butterfly, and he just absorbs all the shots right in his stomach. He keeps them. No rebounds. That is huge, guys. It's really tough when a goaltender, for your defensive standpoint, where you get the guys to take a bad shot over here because you pushed them over there as defensemen, and a lesser quality shot you gave them, and then the goaltender leaves a nice juicy rebound right in front, and then you got to battle a guy in front not to put it away. You know what I mean? You kind of did your job, and the goaltender didn't do his. Well,
you need the goalie to do his job.
Petteri does his. I just think like I said, I think he is the most NHL ready goalie. He's one of the only ones playing in the top professional league in his country. Already. He is signed, I think, through next season. But, I don't think any team that drafts him is going to be trying to have him start next year in NHL anyway. Right, So they can continue to let him build over there. He's playing at a high level, and he's playing in a high-level league. So let him stay over there another year and continue to build on what he's doing right now.
No, can't argue with that at all. And Lance, honestly, he was one of the goalies that I did have on my list as well. I'll be honest with you. But before we get to our number one goalie, and boy, this number one goalie was another special one too. And we'll tell you why here in a minute. But I want to kind of throw 2 different other goalies at you here, Lance, and kind of get your opinion on where do you think these guys might stand. And one of them is another Switzerland player. We're talking about Mattia Nico Birchler. Right, and he's playing for the EV Zug under 20 league. Okay, he's got 28 games he's played with a goals against of 1.92.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's got 4 shutouts. He's got 21 wins and 5 losses. Okay, so far this year, and he's got the size. He's got, I think he has all the tools. Everything that I've seen him play, he's got good position. He's got good, down low. He's got good glove. You know what I mean? So he would be an honorable mention for me.
I mean, I think that's justifiable. He's leading the U20 over there in goals against. He's up there. I think he's second in wins. As well, and he's tied for first with 2 other guys with 4 shutouts. So I mean, he's doing his thing over there. He's underrated for sure. I don't know necessarily if he will be drafted.
Yeah.
Because he's not guys from Switzerland aren't, let's face it, aren't highly you know, looked at. But
Right.
he did play in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup as well.
Yeah.
So he's had a little bit of international exposure there. So maybe some team will take a chance at him. Who knows?
Right. I mean,
He's got great
um,
size. I mean,
yeah,
6'5". That's what every NHL
yeah, that's
team
what I mean.
wants.
He
Some
has the
big,
size.
ginormous goaltender, right?
Yeah, he's got the size. I mean, there's no question about that, and he has the numbers. There's no question about that either. It's just he's playing in a Switzerland league. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, but he's an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
As far as on the list, and then I know you know who Lucas Beckman is, a Canadian-born goaltender that I think is probably gonna. He might be one of the goalies that might go in the draft as well this year. 49 games played, 2.69 goals against. He's got a .912 save percentage, 4 shutouts, 29 wins, 18 losses, and 1 tie. I mean, he also is, got that size, 6'3", you know what I mean, 186 pounds, I believe he is, or something like that. And so, I mean, I like kind of where his game is too. I like how he's been playing. What do you think about him as far as an honorable mention?
No, I mean, I was actually torn to put him on my list as
Oh,
possibly
okay.
at number 5. He was a guy that was definitely going to be an honorable mention for me. I don't think I put that in the article
No.
because it was getting kind of lengthy. So
Well,
uh, I just left it out. But yeah, I think he's really been taking notice after coming to the team he is now in the QMJHL. Last season, he kind of only played in like 9 games, but he took
yeah.
the world by storm, or at least the French Canadian world by storm in the Quebec area, because he had 1.32 goals against average and a 938 save percentage, and he won 7 out of the
The 9.
9 games that he played
Yeah.
in. So, and I think one of them he was just coming in relief, so it doesn't really even count as a start. So, you know, people were looking to him at the beginning of this year as somebody that was going to be kind of special, and they were going to keep their eye on, and rightfully so. I think he's pretty solid goaltender myself. So,
Okay. All right. There we go. Those are our 2 honorable mentions, and now, folks, to our number 1. That's right, folks. The number 1 goalie on Lance's list of top 5 goalies that are going to be available in the 2025 NHL Draft. And that's right, folks. It is a very near and dear special friend to the show and also a guest of the show. And we're talking about Ravensberger. Dude. I don't care what anybody says. As far as I'm concerned, Ravensberger is by far, hands down, the best goalie available in the draft this year, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. As far as the one that will be drafted first, for sure.
Yeah.
He was Canada's guy, maybe not in the World Juniors because Carter George, another former guest of ours, who has already been drafted and everything like that, played in some of those tournaments. But if you take a look at, what he's been able to do for Prince George Cougars this year in the WHL, he's played in 49 games. He's played in a crap ton load of games. That
Yeah.
is his net, right?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
his net.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Right. And, he's got a 2.95 goals against average and a 903 save percentage, 32 wins this season. The Prospect Challenge game that he played in against Team
amazing.
USA. I love that series. I think they need to do that every year, just
I
saying.
agree.
But, he let in 1 goal and he had a 938 save percentage. Man, he was excellent in that game against in an amazing Team USA team that they put out there. He's been doing his thing all year long. He's been doing his thing last year as well. He had a lot more shutouts last year. He had 6 shutouts last year. He's no shutouts this year. I think the team lost a lot of guys. So they had an older team last year.
Yeah.
So they got some younger guys in there this year. But his numbers are still there. He's playing great. He's going to be taken in the first round. He's going to be one of the, not many goalies are usually taken in the first round. Maybe the first one in most years' drafts is taken in the second round. But he's held to high regard, and a lot of teams have him, placed on their boards if they can snatch him up because they think he is going to be a franchise type goaltender for sure.
I mean, when we got to speak to Josh, it was really awesome because you get to see the type of player that he is shine through, in how he was able to present his answers, and things of that nature. I mean, I really love the style of his game. I really like watching this goalie. I really see nothing but good things for him, as well. He's another one of those kids that's driven, knows what he wants, is able to, put that goal ahead of other things in life, like going to dances and going to,
Right.
hanging out with friends and doing those kinds of things, And a lot of these guys that we talk to, you can see that when you talk to them, and they're willing to make that sacrifice because they want to get somewhere. They want to accomplish a goal, and that's getting into the NHL.
Hockey is life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it has to be, But man, so I'll tell you what, man, I think we got a great list of goaltenders here. We gave you 7.
Mhm.
Okay, we told you there was going to be 5, but we gave you 7, right? Can't go wrong with that. We gave you 2 extra ones, so there you go, bonus stuff.
Bonuses, yeah.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, thank you all very much for tuning in and checking us out. Big thanks to Spreaker for getting us out to all the podcasting platforms. Really appreciate that. Also, really appreciate all you folks out there tuning in and checking us out, man. We really do appreciate that. Please hop on over to SteelFlyers.com. Check out the article that Lance put out there, the top 5 goalies available in the 2025 NHL Draft. Also, check out the latest shows from Prospect Watch, where we talked to Aiden Park. And then you can also check out all the other shows that we did, top 5 centers, the top 5 defensemen, and all the other great guests that we talked to as well, too. So thank you, Lance, very much for all you do.
For sure. Can't wait till the next show. Lining up some other guests now. It's getting a little tougher now with playoffs and some leagues and everything else starting. Yep. But we'll make it happen.
There you go, man. Always can count on Prospect Watch to give you the latest and greatest as far as interviewing these players and getting you the inside scoop on exactly what's going on in the players' minds. So thank you all very much for tuning in and checking us out. I'm your co-host, Ron SteelFlyers, and we will catch you all in the next episode of Prospect Watch.